Yo, Dre, I've got something to say. I've got some highlights here from attorney Malik Shabazz's live press conference with Michael Corey Jenkins and Eddie Parker. We do briefly hear from Michael Corey Jenkins for the first time. Lots of safety precautions are having to be made with this historic $400 million lawsuit against the Rankin County Sheriff's Department.
In this hour of justice, we are here now to talk about the number one police brutality case in the United States of America. And that is the torture and the beating and the shooting, sexual assault, waterboarding case of Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. Because the press, what they call the local press and other press, have been pressing this case since day one and reporting on this case day one, and that has been critical in getting the truth out. The power of the press, pursuing the truth, looking into whether we were lying, making this up, or whether there was truth behind it has been critical. The power of the First Amendment, the power of the press to freely report and to gain information is critical to this society, as well as it's critical in the struggle against police brutality. So on behalf of this family, the Jenkins family, on behalf of myself and attorney Trent Walker, we thank you. Michael is in need in this hour. He's in need in this hour. He's struggling in this hour. This will be the last time that you see Michael Jenkins in the state of Mississippi for some time, because we are entering into precarious waters, dangerous waters. Everybody is not happy that Michael Jenkins is alive and not dead. Everyone is not happy that the long-awaited reign, long, vicious, and bloody reign of Rankin County Deputy Hunter Elwood appears to be coming to an end. And the other two unnamed deputies, they are called the Rankin County Death Squad.
Well, in Rankin County, Mississippi, the sheriff's deputy squad there, not sure what it's called. Let's call it the Death Squad.
For standing up against one of the most reactionary, violent, even racist police departments in the country. And so we are removing. Michael Jenkins is being removed from the state of Mississippi for protective reasons. He must be protected for the criminal prosecution of these officers. I know that the big news right now is that Sheriff Brian Bailey has fired the officers, even though he had no respect for the family at all by not naming those officers. Another reason why we demand his termination. Right now, the wheels of justice are turning, and strong criminal indictments will be coming down against Elwood, McAlpin, and Detman for the vicious acts of intimidation, torture, sexual assault, waterboarding of these handcuffed African-American men, and murder charges is what we want from these grand juries and from the prosecutors who are prosecuting them. The people of America want justice. The families want justice. Attorney Trent Walker wants justice, and we're here fighting for justice. But I still say, and we maintain, that this case sets the standard for bad policing and police brutality in America. That this case, the Jenkins Parker case, sets the standard, because what happened in that night was not an act of there was no struggling, there was no resisting, there was no running, there was no fighting. What we have was 6 white deputies who, without any search warrant at all, burst into the home where these men were minding their own business and not bothering anybody, essentially held them hostage and kidnapped them, and violated every civil law and criminal law that a police officer could violate over the course of that hour and 45 minutes. For nearly 2 hours, as they and made sure that their body cameras were not deactivated. I mean, this is sick. This is malicious. This is wanton. This is reckless disregard. This is bad. This is ugly. This is sick, and this is nasty conduct that we've never seen it all comprehensive in one package. So I can answer more about the questions about Eddie Parker, who was handcuffed, and you have the pictures here. You saw Eddie here, who's a hero, because Eddie stood up and Eddie saw Elwood have the gun in Michael's mouth and pull that trigger. Honorable Eddie Parker, who's a hero in this hour. You see the dry stuns in his body. He's handcuffed the whole time. Why is his body shot up with tasers? And he's a peaceful man. He's not a resistant man. These men are not animals to be experimented on. I mean, these men were stripped naked in this house. Stripped naked. I mean, I didn't even hear about this in the 60s. You know, stripped naked in this house, forced to shower in front of these deputies. I mean, it took me a while to conclude. It took me a while to unpack this and even to investigate it and to believe it. I had skepticism myself. But the more I researched and found out how true it was, the more determined that we have become, Attorney Walker and I, to give our lives for this case. And so to conclude, we say to the public and to everybody, by God's grace and God's permission, not a hair on Michael Jenkins' head shall you harm. And not a hair on Eddie Parker's head shall you harm. That they are under divine protection, they are under legal protection, and they are on witness list and victims list for the United States Department of Justice, and you leave them alone in this hour.
Nightmares. Every time I go to sleep, I'm in a dream. We got something to do with a gun. Somebody pulling a gun. Somebody getting shot. Waking up in cold sweats. Losing sleep. I was sleeping in the living room with my mom and my dad. You know, when I first got to the hospital, you know, I got blood bag, but very rough, terrible.
Because the part of his face that was paralyzed because of the bullet, and his tongue was almost severed. They said it was hanging on by a slither, so they had to sew his tongue on and had to wire his jaw shut. So while he was in the hospital, he was fed through a tube. When I brought him home, I had to crush his medicine and give it through a syringe.
We believe that there are credible threats or risks to their safety, and we're being very proactive in terms of keeping them protected for the criminal, in the case they are called as witnesses and victims in a criminal prosecution, and certainly for the civil case. And I make no bones about it. I do not feel safe with them in Rankin County.
Because of Michael, that his family might also be in danger. So we have to worry about that. You know, like I said, I used to sit outside, you know, and I don't do that anymore because I back to my house is right on the highway. So I don't sit outside. Me and my husband will sit out there. We don't do that anymore. So it's affected our life, you know, in every aspect it's affected our life.
And so I want to say also to the press and to those that are watching that as we are a part of the community, we need comprehensive community support on this case. Not just for Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker, but also for the family. There are many things that we need to do and be vigilant on, because this is history. We're actually walking the pages of history in this hour, and some appreciate it and some don't like it. And therefore, we need maximum support in many ways so that everyone is protected, because as attorneys, we're doing the best we can do. But we want to thank also. So let me say, you all on August 26th, at the Plymouth Pilgrim Rest Church in Brandon, Mississippi. We want you all there. If you're from Lexington and you're fighting from Lexington, come on, it's your platform. If you're with Brother Markel Bridges and fighting across the state with him, come on, we want you to be there. If you are fighting for Rasheem Carter and you want to figure out what happened and why his body was chopped up into pieces and why no justice was done, if you're with Rasheem Carter, come on. If you're with DeMontario Gibson, who they're facing trial, the defendants who shot him, the supremacists, white supremacists who shot him, they're going on trial on August the 8th. We want you to be there. From the Gulf to the Delta, from this state, we want you to be there, and they coming from all the other states because this is the headquarters. We want you to come and be there. We have gotten calls, Attorney Walker and I are swamped with calls and emails of allegations of beatings, whooping, knocking people's teeth out in Rankin County. We have to spend days and nights sorting through witnesses and complaints as we're doing right now, and we need your support. We say to Attorney Lynn Fitch, do justice, Attorney General, while the power to do justice is in your hands. Do justice today while the power to do justice is in your hands. Attorney, United States Department of Justice, Head of Civil Rights, Madam Kristen Clark, we thank you for your attention in this hour and police terror and abuse of Black people. We need you to cover our flanks and cover our backs and get into the freedom struggle. When you watch and you hear this and what's going on, I want you to spread it to your cousins and your families. Stop the killing. Stop the harm that you're doing in any respect to one another, because you are undercutting our fight when you do. Stop the killing and join the struggle for justice, because history, it weighs in the balance in this hour.